Hey guys, it's Tarot and Beyond. In today's reading, Spirit wanted to talk about things that may be coming in the future that they want you to be aware of so that you can either change that situation or avoid it entirely. So these are not messages meant to scare you. Okay, we're going to be talking about some things that are not good, but the purpose or intention of this reading is to give you awareness, because with awareness, you can change the circumstances. Yes, you can. That's why Spirit is bringing through this information. Not every situation can be changed. Sometimes we're fated to go through certain things, or there's karmic ties or ways that things need to play out. But in these particular circumstances, Spirit has given permission to bring this information to your awareness so that it can be moved through a little bit less aggressively or a little bit more safely. Let's put it that way. So forewarned is forearmed in this particular circumstance. Okay, so we have the three groups as usual today. Group number 1 is mending, the mending card. Group number 2 is a change in the wind. Kitty's meowing in the background. Kitty is for confirmation. Group number 3 is yang. Okay, so select the card that feels like it's calling to you. If you feel called to more than one, that there just could be multiple warnings that Spirit wants to give you awareness of. Trust your intuition. Take what messages resonates. If something evokes fear, analyze that. Don't let it run your day. Don't let that become a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? You are in control of your reality, and any information that comes through in these readings is meant to support you in your autonomy, your sovereignty, and your free will expression in its highest alignment, okay? With that said, select whichever reading is calling to you. Use the timestamps in the description box or the chapter notes below to jump ahead to your chosen reading or readings, and we'll see you there. All right, hi group number 1. Welcome to your reading. You chose the mending card. Okay, so in these warning readings, I did give a little bit of a disclaimer or context in the intro, but if you didn't listen to that, Spirit wants you to know these messages, not to scare you, but so that when you have awareness of something, you can move through it more gracefully, or you can change it. So we're going to be looking at some themes today that are important for you to be aware of. And through that awareness, you are empowered, okay? So if anything evokes fear, just sit with that and notice it, but don't let it take root in your mind. Don't let that shape or create your reality going forward. This is not to fearmonger. This is to give you information that you need to empower yourself through your free will choices. Okay, that being said, oh, you have Pluto. Okay, so Pluto, the need for control and obsession type energy, power struggles can be resulting from Pluto. Resurrection, getting to the heart of the matter. It can feel like do or die or something that you must do. But Pluto really does free us or liberate us. That's its highest energy, is removing oppression and allowing us to be free. So there's something that is being mended here, or amended even, that may feel life or death. Pluto does rule death and resurrection, and the death energy is not always physical, right? Even physically, when we die, we don't actually die. Our consciousness just moves out of the body. So there's an aspect of this that is kind of like a rebirth for you in some way, but it may feel like a power struggle, because with Pluto, you do need to surrender to that. And so the warning I'm already starting to feel here is that perhaps you are trying to fix something that needs to be actually just released or let go of, because in letting something die, you're able to be reborn, or you're able to really get to the heart of your own quest, rather than trying to stay connected to somebody else. I'm seeing this thread between the two. It's like maybe there's a cord of attachment between you and someone else. This could be definitely interpersonal, and somebody could be above you and you lower than them in terms of the energetic exchange. And so what I mean by that is, like, if you're attached to someone and there's an imbalanced power dynamic, then yes, that would need to end, because that's not balanced, that's not fair, that's not equal or reciprocal in a healthy way. And so Pluto is coming in here and being like, hey, this needs to change, and we need to exit out of this relationship or this attachment to a person, either living or past, right? Because especially if this is someone who's on the other side, You can still have attachments to people in an unhealthy way who are on the other side. They just kind of linger around in their spirit form, and you're still attached to them by that cord. So it doesn't end just because someone quote unquote dies. We need to be aware of these things and to choose to remove ourselves, because it puts us back into our power. And that's the real sense of control here. It's not trying to control the outside, it's controlling ourselves from within. Okay, you have Virgo, methods for healing power, analyzing, perfectionism can also go along with Virgo. You have service to others, detail orientation, and doing what you must do. Okay, so it's interesting that you had these two energies of, where was it? Yeah, here, I had it the right way up. Do or die, you must. And here we have do what you must. Okay, so they're warning you about something you must do. Yeah, something you must do, something you must release. They just told me, they being spirit. Okay, so there's something of an imbalance when it comes to you and other people. Because look at this. We have one person and person. And it's opposite and it's reflected, but they're different sizes. And then here, again, people in opposite positions, and then you had those two people here. So it's like you and someone else, one person specifically, Spirit just said. And I think you'll know who this person is, group number 1, based on how you feel around them. It doesn't necessarily feel safe. Maybe they trigger you into perfectionism and feeling like you need to control, or perhaps they try to control you and they have perfectionistic tendencies. And if you are more passive, this can trigger you into kind of shutting down and letting them take the lead, being, even if you're naturally someone who's autonomous, this person may trigger you into becoming more passive and just following their lead, even if it's not the right direction. And so I'm seeing you needing to take your power back in regard to this person. And having awareness of this is going to help you analyze the situation, pick out the details, and understand why you need to let go of this particular relationship. I actually feel both of those cards, so we'll do those, and then we'll get more from a few different decks. Yeah, 7th house, this is very relationship-based. That's what I was getting, and here we just have confirmation. So the 7th house can have to do with diplomacy, relationships, fair deals, right? Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. It's like it's not fair. It's not a fair exchange. One person has been placed on a pedestal. The other person is perceived as lower, either by the self or by this other person. Balance, cooperation, and partners. So this is a relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could be any relationship. A friendship is specifically actually what I'm getting, a friend, but it could be a relationship of any kind. I think it's going to be different for each one of you, because I am getting a little bit energy of people, someone who's passed over, which could have been a parent. I'm also getting energy from a friend pretty strongly, and then there is like a smaller sort of portion of energy that I'm getting where it is romantic, and it could be all of the above as well. But I'm seeing that they're warning you about this, because this imbalanced dynamic, energy dynamic or power dynamic, is snuffing you out energetically. The candle just went out. Okay, so this is burning you out. It's taking, or they just gave me the word sapping. It is sapping your energy, and they want you to be aware of this because it's not healthy. And there needs to be balance. There needs to be equal exchange of energy in all relationships. And it doesn't always have to be perfectly balanced. Sometimes we give a little more than we get, but then it comes back in other forms, or the other person will reciprocate later when they can, right? So there's something about this just not being balanced in general. Like, no matter what the circumstances, no matter how long you've been friends or connected to this person, it's never really been balanced. It's always been you giving to them more than you're getting back. Okay, so I just had to open up a fresh pack of candles because that was my last one from that previous pack, and that feels significant to me. Everything that happens in a reading is significant, group number 1. So I do feel like this is symbolic of you getting out of that entire situation, like maybe an entirely new group of friends is something that Spirit is calling you to, or a new way of relating to people, fresh perspectives, because the old pack of candles was done and over, letting it die. Again, Pluto die, be removed into the past, and then moving forward with this new pack or this new flame, possibly new romantic connection or new friend groups, like I was saying. And then you have the first house. So it's like the seventh house is like the +1 house. This is you and other people. And then the first house is just you. So this is definitely about you and others and how you relate to them. So it says who you are, your desires, your actions immediately. So like right now, the way you project yourself and doing things on your own. I feel like there's this sense of obligation. This is kind of the vibe I'm getting. It's like you feel on some level perhaps obligated to other people in a particular way. Like, I need to give this, I must do this. There's a sense of like distorted responsibility is actually the phrase that I'm getting. Distorted responsibility over other people. Like, it's my responsibility to care for them. It's my responsibility to fix things, like the chronic people pleaser or fixer archetype. I need to be the savior. I need to save people from themselves or from situations or whatever it is. But really, this is like a distorted thing that's going on within the self, within the first house. And it's a projection. And so what they're saying here is you need to take action to remedy this, to figure out who you are, because it's almost like whoever these people that you're in relationship to, it's like they don't give you a clear mirror. Again, like the twin energy here, the mirrors, they're not giving you a clear mirror of who you are, because they are distorted. And I've used this analogy before in other readings of like the funhouse mirrors. Everyone in our reality is a mirror for us. Now, the clarity of that mirror varies, okay? So some people are funhouse mirrors where we look in and it's completely warped or distorted, and we will see an aspect of ourselves that is not actually accurate, but there's something to it that we need to learn from that. Other people can be very clear mirrors, and that's actually more helpful, because when something is very clear, you can see it and then you can take action on it right away. So there's something about these relationships, or this particular relationship, that is not clear because of the imbalance of the power dynamic, and Spirit is warning you about this because there is something that needs to change. And it's first and foremost you, and then second of all, how you relate to this other person or people. Okay, let's get some cards from the Egypt Star Oracle. Thank you to the donor who sent this deck into us through my Amazon wish list. All three, or just those two? Just those two, thank you. Possessiveness or sharing. Oh, interesting. Okay, possessiveness or sharing. So there may be even like a possessiveness that this other person displays toward you, or that you feel toward them. But again, it's coming back in this energy of responsibility. That's what I'm really feeling clairsentiently, is like this sense of responsibility, which can even show up as possessiveness. And I'm also getting oversharing, overgiving. Yeah, the imbalanced power dynamic of oversharing and overgiving is really very dominant in the feeling of this reading. Respect and admiration. Okay, look. Look at these people on different levels. Below, above. Below, above. So it feels like somebody in your life, this person or these people, may even feel like they are above you, or you may believe that they are above you. Especially if this is or was a parent. There is that sort of tendency towards seeing them as idolized figures. That's just what humans do, right? We come in, we're completely dependent physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually on our parents for our survival. And so we can idolize them in a sense, put them on a pedestal, see them as like inhuman, as in the form of like gods. And this is very normal, but we have to evolve out of that mindset. That's part of our development and differentiation, and being able to individuate. So I'm seeing the theme here Spirit's warning about is like a need for you to really focus on the process of individuation. And if you're not familiar with that term, I definitely recommend looking into it, Googling it. It was coined by Carl Jung, and it's this process of self-integration, which can help you to become more whole and go through sort of like a death and rebirth process within you, so you can heal and so you can see your relationships more clearly and have less of that funhouse distortion and more of the clarity, so that you can actually mend your relationship with you and how that translates to the relationships with other people. Now, speaking of relationships, I did feel called by Spirit to pull out the Romance Angels deck. Even if this isn't romantic, I feel like we need to look at these cards. Trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. Okay, what I'm getting from this is actually like distrust. Having a hard time trusting people. Having a hard time trusting yourself. Always fearing that people are doing something behind your back. And like letting them do that on some level. It's like they are, and you're like letting them do that on some level. So you got to ask yourself why and how this is damaging your trust with yourself, because everything that you allow that is out of alignment becomes a wound that you are inflicting on the self. And it's important to be accountable to that, because we have to be responsible for ourselves as like the caretaker of our spirit, our soul, and our body. We need to be the caretaker, and to do that we have to choose things that are good for us, that are healing, that are empowering and fair. And if we don't do that consistently enough, because we're operating from very unconscious relationship patterns or dynamics that we learned early on in a very imbalanced way, then we're not going to trust ourselves, and it's going to damage our relationship with self, which is, again, what they're focusing on here is like healing, mending the relationship with yourself, instead of having these distorted dynamics with other people. Yeah, forgiving and learning. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. You know, they talked about present moment, the first house, immediately. So they want you to do this right now. Group number 1, right now. Learning to love and trust yourself, to discern who is right for you and who is not. This is really, I'm seeing like boundaries being really important here, personal boundaries. And boundaries are not for other people. They are for you. They are to keep you safe and to make sure that the power dynamics are not skewed too heavily to one side or the other, right? If this is, we could flip and reverse this if that resonates more, if that applies. Take it how you see fit. But I'm seeing more of like the overgiving and needing to forgive yourself so you can trust yourself again, not to put people on pedestals, not to see people as some kind of like false god in your life and overgiving to the point of self-depletion or running yourself ragged or burning out because you are sharing too much. And this could even be oversharing in terms of your personal information or things that people do not honor or respect. It's like trusting people and then having them backstab you. Like you share a secret with someone and then they went and talked about it to other people behind your back. That's kind of what I'm seeing here with the trust card. This guy's pointing sort of behind her back. And I was seeing that with the sharing card. It's like, here, I'm going to share something very valuable to me with you because I trust you. But really at a subconscious level, it's not because I trust you, it's because I feel beholden to you or responsible to you, and I want so badly to trust you, even though my body or my intuition is screaming at me not to. And this is part of the forgiving and learning, not of the other person. Well, I mean, yes, that too, but more so of yourself for participating in these types of relationship dynamics and allowing them to continue, or whatever that happened to have looked like for you. So let's get some tarot to clarify some more here. For group number 1, Spirit, what else do they need to know about this warning, or what are they meant to be doing to avoid this or avert this? Oh boy, the Wheel of Fortune. And look at that Tower card or Tower. The Tower is a card in the tarot, but the Tower in the background there. So this is very Plutonian. The Tower is actually, I believe, Scorpio. It's ruled by Scorpio. or it's scorpionic in that sense, or Plutonian. So it's like destroying the old foundation because it is not stable. And it never really was. It was built on a distorted mechanism. It was built on an imbalanced power dynamic, so it needs to come down. And this can be painful. But what you're being called to do now is to basically like change your fate by changing your actions. Because fate is a product of our actions and our will that has gained momentum and continues to play out. But as soon as we start to shift and change that, it changes it in the result as well. It changes the outcome. This is karma, basically, is what I'm talking about here. And that's what I'm seeing and feeling. So this is you changing the karmic destiny for yourself, or fate that you're continuing to experience or have experienced in the past, by making sure that the cups are balanced, that you're not pouring out and giving too much and then having nothing left for yourself. The wheel needs to be evenly keeled, evenly balanced. The Magician, this is the self. So you are being advised, group number 1, to focus on yourself. And not in a selfish way, but to focus on what you are creating, how that is showing up in your reality. It's taking responsibility for everything you experience and not blaming anyone else, but also not blaming yourself. That's important too. Don't blame yourself, because that will further break down the trust and perpetuate that cycle. So this has been a cycle, a karmic pattern. It's been going on for a while. That's another thing with the wheel. It's like it keeps turning and you keep getting the same thing over and over and over again, because there's cords of attachment that are stemming from the self and your relationship with you. So the more that you abide other people to harm you or to hurt you, the more that you are doing that to yourself. So there needs to be a change here, and that's why you're being warned. Because if you don't make a change, then it's going to continue. It's just going to continue. But if you make a change, if you put your foot down in this situation and you say, no, I'm not going to participate in the same way that I used to. I'm a different person now. I'm learning, and I'm free to change and adapt and grow and outgrow certain relationships. That is what you will start to manifest. You will start a new cycle. 10 and 1, 11. 1, 0, 1. Beginning, void space of creation, and then 1, first house again, yourself, manifesting something different. 2 of Cups, yeah, it's just more confirmation this is to do with relationships. And there is an imbalance here, and there is something that needs to die. There's something that needs to be buried. The past needs to be left in the past, is what Spirit just said. That's how you're going to heal. But to leave the past in the past, we kind of need to understand it, right? We can't just like move on from something if we haven't gotten at least some kind of tertiary level of understanding, because that understanding creates the closure and removes the attachment. If we try to move on from something while that attachment still exists, we can take all the action in the world in the other direction, but we're going to keep getting pulled back. We're going to keep getting pulled back through that cycle of karma, through that attachment wound, through that literal sometimes cord of attachment or bond of attachment, or soul contracts can be part of this too, like negative soul contracts. I've seen a lot of those in people's soul blueprints, and what I've learned working with them for myself and hundreds of people is that if you keep those patterns going, not only will the soul contracts repeat, but you'll also attract new people who you operate on the same soul contract sort of energy wave with. So you just create more of those soul contracts, and it's really heavy. It's very heavy to lug all that baggage around in your auric field. So the process here of transmutation and death and rebirth is coming from you being able to understand, and I just heard the word admit to yourself these patterns, and change how you are approaching other people, how you are interacting, what the dynamic is. Is it balanced? Are you giving as much as you're getting, or are you getting as much as you're giving? Reciprocity is key. Knave of Swords, there's something that you've not wanted to admit to yourself here that you haven't seen, but this is the sort of action that Spirit is taking to bring your awareness to this pattern. So if you're still here in this reading and it's resonating with you, Spirit is giving you this direct information. They're communicating it through me to you to break you out of this cave of distorted mental self-perception. Because I do see that this has been a distorted self-perspective. And it's ready to end. It's very ready to end, but you have to be ready to change it as well. It doesn't end on its own, is what they said. You have to choose fair deals for yourself. You need to trust yourself to not abide these types of relationships anymore in your life. Seven of Wands, boundaries. That is what the Seven of Wands talks about. So yes, you have to have the healthy boundaries to make sure that you are defending the self, staying in your territory, what feels right for you, and not letting people infringe or take or betray your trust. And you do have to build this up yourself, right? There's some level of self-construction that needs to happen here, both internally when it comes to self-trust and learning these patterns and being able to spot them instead of repeating them, like bringing awareness to these things and manifesting or creating something different. But also about so it's partially spotting the patterns in other people, behaviors, tendencies, reading between the lines, not analyzing or over-analyzing extensively, but being able to see or feel intuitively something being off. And then also, again, like changing the patterns within the self that created that dynamic in the first place. Okay, one more. Knave of Cups. I remember one time I was having a hypnosis session with my friend. We do energy exchange. So again, this is an example Spirit is bringing up for a reason. It's about friendship. It's about energy exchange. It's about balance. And I do sessions for her, and then she does hypnosis sessions for me. And in one of the sessions that I was receiving from her, Spirit gave me this visualization. My higher self was saying, if you've been having a hard time, Siobhan, what we want you to do is to gather these parts of yourself and go and sit in this golden pool in your heart. And they showed me this visualization of this golden pool of water, like liquid gold in my heart. And then it was like a hot tub of gold, inviting all of these parts of myself, these past versions of me of different ages and different, states of consciousness, and bringing everyone into the pool. And when we all came into communion in that pool, it was so healing. It was so integrative. It was part of that individuation process and self-healing and transmutation. And this is what it's reminding me of here in the Knave of Cups. She's sitting in this cup or in this pool. So it feels very healing. It feels like self-connection. It is really what I'm getting here. This is how you're going to avoid or break this pattern or cycle or karma, is through self-healing, self-focus, self-creation, really. And self-responsibility. And through that, you're going to actually mend the real root of the issue rather than trying to fix it in a distorted, backwards type of way where you were trying to fix other people and then having that actually harm you more. All right, so this was what you needed to know. Spirit wanted you to have awareness of this so that you are forewarned and therefore forearmed about what you can do to change the situation. So instead of fearing relationships with other people, build your trust within you more, and you will see that reflected in the types of relationships that, number one, you allow in your life, and number two, that you attract. Okay, so that is what I have for you, group number one. I hope this reading was helpful. Above all else, again, don't take anything that feels like fear. Just to inspect that emotion, look for the process within to transmute it, and empower yourself through your actions. You are the divine creator of your reality. Trust yourself. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here on the channel, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right, hi group number two. Welcome to your reading. You chose A Change in the Wind. So this reading, first of all, just a quick disclaimer if you didn't watch the intro. These are not meant to invoke fear. These are not meant to act as like negative predictions. What these are and what Spirit called me to do this reading for is to give you information to empower you to make the aligned decisions in your life. And it's through awareness that we can do that. So if anything feels triggering or fear invoking within these readings, I want you to take a step back and sit with that energy within you. transmute it into the trust or faith or personal empowerment that you're meant to be using these readings for. Okay. All right. So that being said, you chose a change in the wind. I feel like the warning sign here is that something is about to change. Something very big is actually what I'm feeling. Very big is going to change. It may have to do with Aries season. This is technically a timeless reading, but when I was pre-shuffling the deck, the Aries card did come out of the karmic cards. So there's something to do with Aries season that could be significant, which is end of March, early April, I think. So yeah, something big is happening. Could be around the 12th of the month. The number 12 just stood out to me there. So something about April 12th could be significant. Okay, we have Jupiter, the granting of, Jupiter is like blessings, good fortune, granting of wishes, learning and teaching, positivity, optimism, growing and expanding in really, really big and powerful ways. Now, usually Jupiter is seen as the great benefic. And so what it tends to grow or expand on is good things. However, sometimes when Jupiter is bringing you blessings and it's bringing them to you in a really powerful or huge or life-changing or life-altering way, it can also come with the blowing up of or expanding of some of the negative things as well. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's like the good comes with the bad, and vice versa. And that's not to dampen down any optimism. That's not to cause you to fear good things happening. What they're saying here, what they want you to be aware of, is that with good things, there will also be things, challenges that you need to face. Or sometimes when something needs to be brought to your awareness, good or bad, blowing it up and making it bigger will help. How? Well, it becomes more obvious, right? So like if there's a problem in the body, let's say, and it's running really below the surface and very silent, that's not a good thing. You might think it's not showing symptoms, so that's good. But no, you want the symptoms because then they tell you something's wrong and you can go do something about it. If something runs below the surface for long enough, doesn't get treated, then there's going to be a problem. So those symptoms, the blowing up of something and making it more obvious, is actually a good thing. So even when Jupiter blows up the bad things, it is a good thing in that sense, if we're looking at it from that silver lining or very optimistic Jupiterian perspective, because it gives you the awareness of something that, if left below the surface, would have actually caused harm to this new direction that you're moving in. I'm feeling health and healing being important here. I'm feeling it like it's in the body. So something being blown up or changing in a way that causes you to have to take a new action towards your health. Again, if this doesn't resonate or if it invokes fear within you, sit with that, because these are not meant to trigger you. These are meant to bring awareness to something that you already either have felt or you've kind of had inclinations around. But I'm also seeing life changes in general. Like this could be physically moving homes, because the body is the home of the soul, and the physical home that we live in, like the four walls that we call our home, is also a home as well. So there's two different homes that we're talking about here. But I'm seeing something changing. And it is a blessing, but it's going to be like a hidden blessing type of situation. So like, let's say you get told that you need to move out or something like that. You might be like, oh my God, this is bad. I have to do all of this stuff I got to find a place. I've got to pack. I've got to pay for movers, all of that. It seems like a bad thing, but there's some kind of a blessing in disguise here. Maybe you weren't aligned with that home anymore. Maybe it wasn't causing some kind of a block in your life, or it wasn't energetically appropriate for you anymore. You outgrew it, They're showing me a hermit crab outgrowing the shell. If you stay within that shell, you get crushed. You die. Yeah, they're showing me lobsters as well. Lobsters are technically immortal, but the only way that they really die is either if they get killed, they're eaten, obviously, or they can't molt out of the shell that they're growing out of. They kind of get like stuck within the shell, and then they can die from internal pressure building up. So this is kind of what I'm seeing, is that your soul is growing. It's expanding really fast. And that is going to create changes on the outside, because the outside reality is a reflection of your inside reality. So there's something here that is changing big, and it's going to create changes on the outside. So you may be moving homes, okay? Let's just say you may be moving homes in one way or another, and it's a good thing, but it might feel scary in the process. We have the first house, the self. This is to do with the body. Yeah, okay, so we're talking about the body here immediately. It's like right now, the way you project yourself, doing things on your own, who you are, your desires and your actions. I always see the first house as like our physical body, how we see ourselves, how we project ourselves out into the world. So this might not be something to do with health. It could just be that you're changing how you look in some way. Or your body is changing in some way. Perhaps growing, maybe pregnancy, a change in the wind. Maybe you get pregnant and that kind of like shakes up your entire world. Or you start to, because Jupiter grows, and when Jupiter grows, it goes into the first house. There's a couple of things that can happen. You can gain weight, you can gain muscle, or you can gain a baby. Or you can just change and expand how you present yourself. Like that's kind of what I'm seeing here if Jupiter transits through the first. This is a major change in the wind. Maybe this is happening through Aries season. And it's going to change how you see yourself or how you physically embody. The house is changing, right? The body is changing. I do see healing here. They are bringing that up. Those two. And the one on the bottom, they said as well. Okay. So healing is important. You have Sagittarius, insights to understand, wisdom. Yeah. Highest ideals, rules, and getting out into the world. So Sagittarius rules the 9th house, and it's very much about your beliefs, your philosophy, your ability to experience life, and through that experience gain wisdom or deeper understanding or knowledge. I'm seeing you may be actually moving physically as well. Like if this isn't physical body, no, I feel like it's both, okay? I gotta say that. Spirit's giving me energy of both. So I think it's actually two things at once. Your physical body is changing. You are changing. And you're learning something through that. And that's causing you to shift and change. And there's a change in the wind and you may be moving. Maybe there's travel involved here. Maybe there's just new routines in your daily life, or maybe you're physically moving houses. And your body changes as a result or in the process of that as well. So it's like these two things happening at once. And that's why it might feel a little overwhelming. I was going to say overwhelming. But that's why Spirit is giving you this warning, is because if you have foreknowledge of this, you can better embrace it and flow through it without resisting. And that's going to make this whole process a lot more fluid. And you can look at it from this bigger perspective, which is what I'm seeing Sagittarius helping you to grasp and understand, is the bigger perspective of the bigger picture of why this is happening. And we have the sun, which is also the self. Sun and first house are very highly correlated. So this is how you're demonstrating yourself, realizing your own power, acting as a leader in your life. I'm seeing you creating something with creation energy. Jupiter, first house, like I said, this could be pregnancy. The gaining of respect for or from people and things brought to life or light. Yeah, I'm seeing pregnancy, I gotta say, for some of you. But it's definitely a physical change to your living situation and your physical body. But they really want you to know this so that you can be bold about it, so you can say, okay, I understand what's going on and I'm not going to resist it. It's like going with the flow. The wind is changing. Don't try to go in the opposite direction because it's just going to blow you back. They want you to have this information not as a warning of fear, but as a warning of like knowing when to change direction, because there's a reason for that. Gemini. Two sides of the coin is what I heard. Yeah, and it almost looks like a coin with two sets of heads on it. The twins is what Gemini is. So it's information that helps you explain or understand things. Again, we've got understanding, learning, very mental energy here. Can be about communication, fluctuations, changes, yes. What you want to be known for, what is believed about you, and what you believe and what you project, and then the quickest way, using that quickest way to get to your goal. Yeah, I'm getting travel energy from this. I'm seeing Gemini being able to adapt quickly to the changes. So embrace the Gemini energy is what I'm seeing. And Gemini and Sagittarius are opposites. They sit on either side of the chart. So they're kind of like these opposites that actually they do well together. They attract because they have different qualities of each other, even though they're on those polar sides. But they get along quite nicely, I think. Sagittarius and Gemini, because they're both very mental oriented, communication based, more extroverted in the presentation of the energy. They just want me to go straight in with the El Fuego deck, so that's what we're going to do. Thank you to the donor who sent this deck into us from the Amazon wishlist that I link in the description. I have so many decks saved there, and I love exploring all the new energies that different creators put into their decks with the imagery and stuff. So I feel like this is relevant to the message. Everything that comes up in a reading usually is. So there's something about like creation. If it's not a physical child, this is you creating something new, and it's a big change in the wind. So maybe it's like a change of job or career path, and that also changes the way you see yourself or present yourself to the world. Like if you quit a particular job, or if you upgrade in your job or something like that, maybe your sense of self changes and your attire changes, right? You dress for a different level of a job, or you need to relocate physically. Again, I'm seeing a lot of like physical changes. To do with creativity, though, you have the Nine of Wands. I feel like you're very close to achieving something, group number 2. And this change in the wind is actually going to help you get there. But it's kind of like there's a lot going on all at once, and that's why Spirit has drawn you to this reading and wanted to warn you about this. It's not because it's something bad, it's just because there's a lot changing at once, and that can feel overwhelming. Yeah, they're giving me this message about good things happening in quick succession can be overwhelming to the ego because you have to let go of a lot. You're growing really quick. It's like growing pains. You know, growing is a good thing, but it's like when it happens rapidly like that, it's very obvious and it can be a little uncomfortable, but you're very close to achieving a particular goal here. I feel like it's a creative goal, but you've been looking in 2 directions. Look at that. He's got 2 heads. It's very much like Gemini. You got 2 heads, 2 heads, 2 heads. Like all of these have that. But anyway, it's standing out to me in context of like looking back and looking forward. So when the wind changes, don't look back is what I just heard really loudly. Don't look back. Move in the new direction. Change on a dime. Oh, that's what they were talking about, something on a dime. Yeah, being able to pivot. It's like, okay, you're walking along this path, and then all of a sudden the wind changes. You will feel it. You will see it is actually what Spirit said. You will see it. There's something very visceral about it, or there's something very obvious or external about it, and you're going to go right in the other direction. And the reason they want you to know this information is so that when that shift happens, you're not questioning yourself and doubting and then trying to force your way on the old path. No, trust yourself. You're meant to go in that other direction. This is giving you context so you can understand it and then move fluidly into blessings is actually what Spirit just said. This is a warning reading, but they're talking about blessings here for you, group number 2. So this is actually a beautiful thing. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious, fast and furious. Tokyo drift, like you gotta drift. Yeah, they're showing me that meme, you know, the one where it's like skirt, and you, instead of going straight down the highway, you take the off ramp and the drift. That's what this is, okay? And that's why they're warning you about it, is because it's a very quick change. It's like on a dime. 1 minute you're doing one thing, the next minute you're doing something else, and it's because it's meant to be that way. It's being preordained is actually what Spirit just said. I have never heard them use that phrase before, preordained. I suppose that's kind of like destiny or fate, but yeah, they said chosen path. It's aligned with your chosen path. Okay, so this is self-development I'm seeing here. It's part of your self-development, soul development, they said. Yeah. 7 of Pentacles. Oh my God. Look at this. Look at the wings cut off. We were talking about wing trauma in one of the previous readings I did. I think it was the light body activation one. Perhaps you're called to that. If I can remember, I'll link it underneath your timestamp in the description box. There's something here about taking a leap of faith, and yeah, it's giving me like full energy, but they really want you to be aware of this so that you don't resist it. They just keep giving me that energy of like, don't resist it. This is moving you in the right direction. It's not going to make sense. until after, when you look back and you'll see like, this was the year that my life changed, or this was the month that my life changed. And it's going to require a lot of faith from you. This is the Seven of Pentacles, but I'm getting Fool energy. See the way he's kind of like walking off that cliff? It's going to require you to have faith. They said, trust yourself. See how his wings are cut off there? It's like he's afraid that if he takes this leap of faith, that he can't trust himself to fly, but you will. You will. Now, the other thing that I'm noticing is that the Seven of Pentacles can be about patience or waiting or not seeing physical changes, but you have the immediately card in, you know, the immediately word right there, upside down. So there's something about like, no, you will see this immediately. And that's why it's like you're going to be met with something that it's like really obvious in your face, and you're like, you have to make a decision. You have to choose which direction you're going to go. But it's not like a crossroad. Interestingly enough, they're not showing me crossroad energy. They're actually giving me more of like, like that off ramp. It's like an off ramp of some kind. Those two. Oh, there's three. Okay. The priestess, the high priestess. Spiritual self-development, and I think that this is you being able to really psychically expand. I'm seeing the world down here, like below her. See the world and the house. Yeah, you might be relocating. You might be moving like at a distance, group number 2. And they're saying, don't look back. Take that leap. I just heard overseas, maybe moving overseas. Sagittarius is about overseas travel, or it can be about like exploring the world or moving out into the world. The wind changes, you hear the calling, you feel it, it's obvious. Maybe you get an opportunity or something. That's Jupiter. But it's like, it's a big change for you. Maybe you have to completely change your entire lifestyle. They just showed me somebody giving away their wardrobe, like all of their clothes. Whoa. It's a big purge of the self. It's like you're literally and figuratively purging the old self. Everything that you owned, or not everything, but like a lot of it. And if this is pregnancy, again, it's like you're shedding the old self. You're shedding the independent version of you and becoming the mother or the father, which is like an entirely different identity. Possibly, again, relocating or something like that. But it's like a lot. And that's why they're bringing this to your attention. Knight of Cups. Could be new love that comes in, like very aggressive new love, but like not aggressive in a bad way, just very insistent. Or passion for travel, passion for a new sense of self, passion for a change of direction in your career. It's passion about something though, but it's like not the fiery passion of the Knight of Wands. It's like the deep, profound pull of soul and emotional passion aligned. Does that make sense? So it's like you intuitively feel it, you emotionally can't ignore it because it's really strong. And you mentally start to try to understand what's going on here because you will feel it before you see it. And then you will be faced with this off-ramp or this decision. And I'm seeing you're going to go all in with it. Look at the horse. He's got all of his feet in this tiny little cup. You know what that reminds me of is actually those people who do that high dive into like a tiny cup. Yeah, you've got the little cup here too. And he kind of looks like an acrobat or like a high diver too. Yeah, so there's something about this is like a huge leap of faith. Huge, because you're diving off of this super high thing into this tiny cup, but it will catch you, is what I'm being told to tell you, group number 2. It will catch you, you will catch you, spirit will catch you. Even if you feel like you have to really shift some things about yourself and your life. 9 of Swords, oh my gosh, so much fear. But look how protected you are. Okay, I see you being this little hedgehog or porcupine, and you know there's this fear monster that's trying to get at you. But you look, you're not only do you have your own natural spikes, but you've also got these like swords sticking out of your back, and you're on fire, and you've got laser vision even though you're blindfolded. So it's like you are going to see this psychically. You're going to feel it intuitively. you're going to actually be avoiding something negative on that other timeline, is what they're telling me. Oh, so no wonder you're not meant to go straight. There was something up ahead on that road. There was like let's say, for example, in this metaphor of like being on the road, on the highway, there's like a massive accident up there that could have happened that you would have been in. And by skirt and like, Tokyo drifting off that main road, you are safe. And your life becomes this beautiful thing. There's treasures you haven't seen there yet. You're deeply, deeply spiritually protected through this transition, through this massive change. You're being reborn. There's definitely, it is a bit of a death process, okay? There's some things from the past that you're going to get closure on them. You're going to be able to move on. Some of it will be a little painful because you're like, it's an ending, right? Nobody really likes endings. I mean, I've never met anyone who does. I certainly don't. But when it's an ending of our own choice, and when we're moving into something that's more aligned, it can help to sort of soften the blow of some of the grief around releasing the things that were, so that we can make room for the things that are and will be. Okay, now they did direct me to this. I didn't get these cards for group number 1, but they're telling me to get them for you, group number 2. So these are actually channeled messages cards that Spirit and I created. This one. You need a break. You've been working very hard, and Spirit wants to acknowledge this and let you know that you need and deserve a break. Don't worry, what you've been working on will still be there when you get back. You won't fall behind by resting. Maybe this is taking a break from work to pursue something that you feel really drawn to, possibly a relationship, possibly having children, possibly a new direction, creative project, something independent, or possibly travel, vacationing. It's like, but this does feel like a huge leap of faith because there's this fear of like, what if I don't find my way, or what if I don't have what I need, or what if I fall? What if I get hurt? But they just directed me back to the card. I was looking off at some of these other cards and it says you won't fall. Look, you won't fall. You're going to leap, but you won't fall. And there's a difference. No way. On the bottom of the deck, the season is changing. Change in the wind. Are you prepared for its inevitable end? The end is nigh, but don't panic. This kind of thing happens all the time. It's time. We can't resist the seasons changing. When the wind changes, we have to go with it. It's something that's outside of our control. And the reason that this is coming up in a warning reading is to give you forewarning about this so that you can, like I said, gracefully accept it, surrender to the process of change, death and rebirth in your life, and experience all of the new growth, little leaf here, all the new growth that is going to come from that. So release the past, let go of the old you, and move into the future. Look, you've got a blank one underneath that. I did not know that was in there. Okay, so you've got a blank slate. This new thing that you're moving into is, first of all, feels destined for you, but also it's like open. It's completely open. The road is open. There's no traffic. There's no accidents. There's no limitations. You're just going to be free. That's what I'm feeling. Freedom. Below the blank card, which I'll leave it in there because that was relevant in this reading. Maybe it'll come up again, but do some energy healing at this time. Your energy body is in need of a tune-up and would benefit from some Reiki, some quantum healing, some sound healing, or some breath work. So do some physical healing. That could be part of this as well. The sun and the first house can talk about that as well. Jupiter can be very healing too. So I'm getting like mental and physical healing, spiritual healing. So if you feel called to any of these healing modalities, check those out. We do some Reiki sometimes on readings here on the channel. I'm a Reiki master, so yeah. And we do readings once a month for the members where I do a lot of psychic healing work too. So anyway, point being, group number 2 is that the focus for right now, like if I had to give you a recommendation on what to do now, it would be focus on preparing for this by releasing what you can right now. So maybe it's like cleaning out your closets, taking some things to the thrift store, to the donation boxes, getting rid of the stuff you don't need, just slowly, incrementally, so that when this shift happens very obviously, you will already be prepared, both physically and also mentally, because you've started to kind of adjust to the idea of this major change, and so it will make it easier on you. Yeah. And do some healing work, because a lot of this is going to also be internal. The physical release is symbolic of that, and it's part of the shift, but I think a lot of this is also personal internally, to releasing some of these wounds from the past, or fears or doubts, and being able to trust yourself and your calling, because this does feel like a calling. It's very divine. They keep giving me that word again, preordained. Yeah, it's been preordained. It's written in the book. Look. It's written in the book. Oop. Could even be written in your natal chart. So, yeah. Or even on the palm of your hand. Split or forked lifelines can sometimes indicate massive changes, or even like international relocations or big physical moves. If you have one of those forked, it's like a forked timeline. There's different timelines you could have gone on, and they did mention time here. So it's something about a shift in timeline, which will result in a shift in self, a shift in location, a shift in a whole bunch of other things all at once. So for now, just relax and take care of yourself. Start preparing mentally, physically, etc., and embrace this change when it comes, because it's actually going to be a blessing, okay? Spirit wants you to know that. And they want you to anchor to that through the faith and trust that you have cultivated within. It's going to be an adventure. Look at it that way. It's going to be a beautiful adventure. All right. I'm sending you so much love, group number 2, for this massive and profound positive change that is to come in the near future. Let me know how this unfolds. Protection around you from any fear. Know that you will be safe. All right. I love you. I bless you. And thank you for being here on the channel. We'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose the Yang card. So first, as a disclaimer, I mentioned it in the intro, but if you skip that to come to the reading, that's fine. I just want to say these readings are not meant to fearmonger. They are not meant to trigger you or to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. What they're meant to do, and the reason why Spirit called me to do this reading today, is to give you foreknowledge so that you are forearmed and to be able to use your free will in an empowered way to avert some kind of situation that's not in your best interest, okay? So Spirit will sometimes give us information if something can be changed, and if and only if it can, right? If there's something that's unavoidable and it's, part of like karma or something like that, that's meant to repeat because we need to learn a lesson, and they won't warn us of it. They'll just kind of let us go through it, and then we learn the lesson in the process. But sometimes there's things that are ready to end, or there's things that we need to know because we're not meant to be aligned with that thing at that time, and they'll give foreknowledge about it so it can be avoided. So that's what we're looking at. You've got Gemini. Okay, what you want to be known about you, how you express yourself is very Gemini. What is believed about you as well, how you show up, using the quickest way to get to a particular result. Gemini is very quick-minded energy. You've got information, explaining, communication, and fluctuations as well. Okay, so Yang energy and Gemini. Interesting. I'm not sure what this is yet, but I'm feeling forceful energy being directed outward. That's really the energy I'm getting from both of these cards. There's something that they're going to explain. They just said, okay. Yeah, you've got the sun. This is very Yang. It's creation, gaining respect. So it could be something that you're known for, something that you communicate or how you express yourself, things being brought to life or light, something you demonstrate, leadership perhaps, or something that you're realizing or learning. Still not sure what this is yet. Oh, that's why I'm not sure. Neptune is here. Neptune is like the realm of things that are below the surface, not necessarily seen but felt. So it's inspiring others. So there could be something about leadership here that they're talking about, how you express yourself, how you communicate, how you're seen or viewed. I'm getting almost like 10th house vibes, and something you're called to take action on. Yeah, it says inspire others, be prepared to sacrifice for. Yielding is the only way. So Neptune really does kind of force us to surrender with the flow, idealization, confusion, and yeah, again, sacrifice. So, there may be some sacrifices that you need to make, group number 3, in the pursuit of a particular career goal specifically, because I am getting 10th house energy. And the 10th house in the natal chart is how you're seen publicly, what you're known for, the legacy you leave behind. It's like your public persona. It's how people see you, your notoriety, all of that. So there's something about... I do actually feel the one on the bottom. It's a house. What is it? 9th house. Interesting. We're one off. No, but the 9th house is spiritual values, long-range thinking or travel, sharing, philosophies, laws, big things, big changes, big movements, and really connecting this universality. Okay. So this may be to do with a spiritual purpose that you have to communicate your beliefs or to express yourself in some way, like a spiritual teacher, healer, leader. Yang energy is about doing. It's about putting something out into the world. I'm seeing some kind of creative project or something. Now, I'm wondering why this is coming up in a warning reading because, they said sacrifice. They beelined me to that word and they highlighted it like a laser beam in my mind. That's how they let me know what we're talking about here. Okay, so the reason this is coming up in a warning reading, because overall it actually feels quite positive to me, is because there's some kind of a sacrifice you're going to be called to make, or that you've been called to make, and they want to talk about it. Okay, let's get some more information here. Something that you're being called to do in a big way. You might have to sacrifice kind of how you see yourself or any fears that you have about communicating very openly or publicly about something. You might have to like come out of the closet on something and be very bold about what it is that you believe in. Yeah, they said like tell it like it is, not sugarcoating it, which can be quite polarizing, which is what Yang does. It's Yang and Yin. Those are the polar opposites. But if you're going to do this mission, if you're going to be this person, which it feels like you're meant to be, group number 3, then you're going to have to sacrifice perhaps some levels of the ego in terms of being liked or accepted or understood even, and focus on the goal, focus on the task at hand is what Spirit said. Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. You've got Horus with strength. Again, I'm getting leadership energy from this. The strength to withstand attack as well, because if you're coming out really boldly about something that you believe in that's not necessarily the norm or that's not universally accepted, which nothing is, right? When we speak the truth, it is polarizing. So I feel like it's having the strength, and they keep giving me this energy or this message of having the strength to be not liked by some people, because you're going to inspire the right people. But it's like, be prepared to sacrifice everyone agreeing with you, because when you are polarizing, you will see opposition. But it's worth it to communicate this truth, or it's worth it to express yourself in this aligned way, or to do this creative project or whatever it is. Hold on, I actually see this card, if I can get it out. Chaos. Ooh. Okay. They said addressing chaos in the world. So maybe talking openly about politics or religion, or, it's like a touchy subject, something that people have very fixed beliefs on, or very ingrained philosophies around. And when we become really attached to a certain way of thinking, it can become like a part of our identity or our ego. And even though it's technically not, right, it's just something we've adopted that gives us a sense of security in a chaotic world. When we challenge that in other people, when we speak our truth, and if that opposes another's truth or challenges them with an opposing view, cognitive dissonance is a result, okay? Cognitive dissonance is like a fight or flight response, physically, biologically in the body, where the person's mind goes, no, that challenges the status quo of our operating system, and that does not feel safe. And so irrationally, almost, the person will become enraged by the information that's being presented to them, even if it has nothing to do with them personally, even if it has no impact directly on them. It can just be information that challenges their truth that they've adapted to or adopted, and that can become highly triggering, and they might lash out. So it's like having haters or people projecting onto you or resisting the truth that you're sharing. I'm seeing that kind of being expressed here. People being aggressive toward you. I knew this card was going to come out. Holy shit. It's on the bottom of the deck. I was just holding it in my hand this whole time, and I felt called to flip it over. Destruction of enemies. Now, the reason I'm like, whoa, is because when I was pre-shuffling, this card did flip over. I took note of it, and I put it back in the deck. But here it is. So destruction of enemies, that doesn't mean you have to destroy people, right? It's just, I'm getting warrior type vibes, like you will have to defend yourself. And this is one of the sacrifices you're being called to make, group number 3, to do this thing. It could be something creative, creation and artistry on the bottom there. So it could be something creative that you're called to do, that on some level you take leadership of, and people don't agree, or some people don't agree, but I feel like a lot of people do, but not everyone, right? So the Star card, I feel like this is a warning they're giving you to help you to heal and prepare for this necessary sacrifice, because it might feel painful and disruptive. They're showing me the volcano in the background of this card. So yeah, chaos, right? That's, volcanoes always kind of symbolize chaos to me. So yeah, it's like eruptions, and same thing with those people feeling challenged or triggered and then exploding. And this is having the strength to defend yourself, or having the strength to walk away when you need to. Doesn't, like I said, it doesn't mean you destroy your enemies. It means that you destroy the enemy within. You don't take it personally. When those people are triggered, you don't internalize it. You don't take it to heart. You don't let it become a part of your personality or affect your leadership or your actions. Because this is like the strength of your sense of self that is kind of being called into question here. Are you strong enough to be able to resist the opposition? Are you strong enough to stay in your truth? Are you strong enough to pursue what you're called to pursue, or create what you're called to create, because it's part of your expression, your divine beliefs? Can you do that? And can you heal the parts of you that are afraid to do that, that have repressed that and relegated it to the realms of the unseen? Can you make the unseen seen and face those fears within you to do the things in the world that will face you with those actual fears physically? But if you face them within, if you deal with them in the depths of the mind, they will not harm you. They cannot harm you. So I see you fluctuating right now, group number 3. I see some fluctuations going on. I see hesitation to step into this role, or to put your best foot forward in this way, or to pursue this path. But Spirit is warning you that this is connected to your purpose. It's like I'm getting North Star, North Node, sort of destiny vibes. It's connected to what your soul is meant to do in this lifetime, or to develop into, I should say, because that's more North Node. Yes, it's about doing, but it's also about what you're developing into. And again, 10th house, I'm getting like leadership. So yeah, somebody might even have like North Node or Sun in the 10th house. That could be significant, or in the 9th house connected to this. But yeah, I'm seeing Spirit bringing this up because they want you to know that this needs to happen. And even if you're feeling a bit hesitant about it now, it will become easier as you begin to really integrate the information and stop or refuse to idealize any particular belief system. Just believing in what you believe and speaking the truth, but not even becoming attached to your own beliefs. That's, I think, a big part of this too. This is another part of the warning. Don't become attached to your own beliefs. Don't become dogmatic about it. That's distorted ninth house energy, is dogmatism. Distorted Neptune energy is escapism. And like a distorted perspective or illusions even. So you don't want to get sucked into that same illusional trap or delusional trap within you that would allow some of these attacks to get at you. Okay, let me explain what I'm seeing here. Let me put down these cards because I feel these three before I forget. Okay, so when we are truly solid in our beliefs, no opposition will shake that. There will be no trigger. The response internally will just be like, okay, you're free to believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. It doesn't have to be a battle. When people go to war over their beliefs, it's because they don't really actually believe them. They're trying to believe them. They're clinging to believe them because it gives them a false sense of security, or it gives them an operating system that feels stable enough that they can continue to survive in. So it is a survival adaptation. And what I'm seeing here is that the test that you're going to be put through is, number one, that people are going to oppose what you believe. And are you going to be strong enough to be able to defend yourself, your truth, and to continue doing what you're meant to do? And number two, can you stay within your integrity and challenge your own beliefs and be willing to adapt and change as you go so that you don't become rigid or dogmatic in your own belief set? These are the things they're talking about here. Judgment. Oof. When the bell tolls, I heard in my head, and I look down and he's got this bell in his hand. Interesting. When the bell tolls, there's something about awakening. The white rabbit always reminds me of like exiting the matrix or getting out of some kind of distorted or warped thought perception or reality. Yeah, it's like an illusion that you're breaking free from. And there's going to be a lot of people in the world who are still trapped in that illusion. They still have that blindfold on. But you see all the eyes? You see, they don't see. And you can't force other people to see before they're ready. That's another thing that they're warning you about here. You cannot force people to see what they are unready or unwilling to see. Each and every soul will see in the time that they are ready and that they have chosen, is what Spirit just said. So I think that's also part of this, is accepting this inner strength that sometimes things may seem chaotic, but there is an underlying order to it. There really is. Okay. 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, again, I'm getting 10th house, legacy. I'm seeing overcoming negative patterns or habits as well. It's like you're really cleansing a lot of the inner darkness is what I'm seeing here, group number 3. Cleansing the inner darkness. Shedding light on all of the parts of the self that may have prevented you from doing this task or being this person. Because it's like you need to do this. There's something about this that's so integral to your spiritual development. But it's like you need to see the darker aspects. You need to be able to understand them within yourself so that when you see them faced or pressed against you from the world outside, you don't take it personally anymore. You don't let it harm you. Ace of Wands. This is a calling. This is something you're meant to do. It feels creative. So I'm trying to think of like a creative, spiritual, religious belief type thing, because Neptune's super creative ninth house is like beliefs and philosophy, and the Ace of Wands is like creating something. So maybe you're creating something that is connected to some kind of spirituality or some kind of philosophy or belief that you have. And like I said, people oppose it. So let me give you an example, because the example that's coming to mind is actually like somebody creating, for example, like a tarot deck. And then there's a lot of religious people who are like, tarot is the devil, like all that stuff. Obviously, I don't think you're part of that particular clan or belief set, group number 3. Otherwise, you wouldn't be literally in a tarot reading right now. So I think you're in the camp of, tarot is spiritual, tarot is good. Tarot is a tool for spiritual and soul development, for personal awareness. So it's kind of like those two polar opposites, right? And if you on some deep level fear that tarot is bad and then you go out and create a tarot deck, and then people start yelling at you that tarot is bad, you're going to doubt yourself, and you're going to integrate that projection of their own fears and their own distortion. That's what Spirit's warning you about here. It doesn't have to be that literal example, but it's like that, okay? So again, it's like working through the darkness within yourself now in advance, really dealing with it hands-on, so that when the time comes to really show up and do this thing, you're ready. And when you're prepared for those people to come at you, and you're like, it's okay. I understand why you feel that way. That's not how I feel. That's not what I believe, and I'm safe in that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I honor and I bless you, and I know that you will see it when you're ready. Right now is just not the time. I'm going to protect myself and keep doing what I'm doing. You know? That's really, really what I'm seeing here. Okay, they did say we're going to get charms for you. We didn't get that for any other group, but Spirit says, and that's what we do. So for group number 3. Let's see. Okay, you've got the angel wings. You're protected through this. It is a divinely guided path. They just told me that verbatim. It is a divinely guided path. So it's very protected. You're going to be safe through this. Any chaos will be, you'll be shielded from it to an extent, right? You'll be shown certain things for certain reasons for soul development, but a lot of like the actual chaos or destruction, you're going to be protected from. Spirit will vanquish your enemies, but like not in a bad way, right? Just more like vanquishing those negative thought projections, or helping you to see them more clearly. You do have the golden crown, so this is to do with sovereignty, personal autonomy, following your own path, being a leader, right? It's sun energy, being a leader. Gold is also about value, what you value, and being able to pursue that, or to rule your own kingdom in terms of what you value. You have this one. This one always reminds me of the 5 of Swords in the Adventure Tarot deck, I think is the one. I can't remember, but it's kind of like opposition of the mind, right? Again, it's like cognitive distortions or projections that are sent your way, and you're just being advised of or made aware of this so that you can know what to do. You don't have to destroy your enemies. You can actually destroy that negative projection through your own internal acceptance of self. That's really like what they keep reiterating that here. Okay, this is an interesting charm that I've seen only once before, and it's got these like little bunny ears at the top, and then it's kind of like this weird little oval mirror type thing, and then underneath it almost looks like reminds me of like a paint palette. Is that what those called? You know, like the sort of circular ones. You put the paint on, you hold it with your thumb, and then you can paint. So I'm getting confirmation here about creativity. The oval reminds me of a mirror, so it's like not taking other people's projections into your identity and just seeing everything as a mirror to be able to work on the internal aspects of it from within. That helps you break free from the matrix, the bunny, right? I put it here on judgment. Yeah. You got this little card guy like from Alice in Wonderland. Oh, they said enforcers. Enforcers of the false way. It's almost like Agent Smiths, you know what I mean? Like or like anyone can become an Agent Smith if they are undecided in what they believe in, or their reality is distorted. They can become an Agent Smith, and it's like you're going to see that. You're going to see people up in arms against you on some level, but again, they're saying if you stay in your truth and you follow your path, they can't harm you. Strength to defend yourself too. And it's interesting that that's a card, and I did use tarot cards as an example. Maybe we have some future tarot authors or even some present tarot authors in this group. If so, let me know in the comments below. You have the butterfly, golden butterfly no less. So this is massive transformation, and I'm feeling called to put it on the Yang card. So I feel like you're going to be like completely transforming the way that you act and the way that you present yourself. It also gives me Gemini energy. Butterflies usually remind me of Gemini because Gemini is like the sort of mental butterfly kind of flitting around all over the place. So I'm seeing your creative energy being directed in multiple different pathways. But you really hold the core of this creative passion in your hands, and so I think allowing it to be directed in whatever way happens to be the inspiration of the day. It's like, don't limit that. Let yourself follow that intuitive hit or that inspiration, even if it's a little different than what you would normally do. And finally, you have the silver kitty. Okay. I'm getting watchful energy from this cat. And I want to put it on Neptune. I'm not sure why. Let me ask why. Yeah, okay, there's something about seeing beyond what is physically available to your eyes. You know, it's like seeing the deeper truths or being able to psychically connect, because I'm getting psychic, like observer energy from the cat, and Neptune's also very psychic. It rules the dream realm, the imagination, the non-tangible realms, the physical aspects of, or the non-physical aspects, I should say, of the mind and the emotions. So if there's any confusion, I'd say tune in psychically and attune to what is going on, because the more that you surrender and you start to see these themes or these patterns within yourself, the more clear you're going to be able to see them in the outside. It's all a mirror. So when you address it within, you're going to see that addressed on the outside too. And that's going to put you again back into this position of leadership or self-sovereignty or autonomy that you're meant to be in, and also continuing to develop, okay? And you're going to leave a legacy around that in some way. It's going to wake people up is also what I'm seeing. You're going to wake people up. So some people are going to be like up in arms with torches and pitchforks against you. Other people are really going to get shaken outside of their previous state of consciousness. And again, you are not responsible for who is doing what or how people are receiving your work. What you're called to do is to share it. That's it. And to stand in your power as you do that, okay? But you're going to wake some people up. Okay, group 3, that's what I see. That's what Spirit wanted to warn you about, is just to stay in your strength, to own your power, to walk your path, and to be the leader. Don't back down, is what I just heard. Don't back down. Stay in your truth and be fluid like water. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love, protection, and blessings for this process to unfold in your greatest and highest good. Thank you for being here on the channel. I appreciate you and your support of my work here doing this. Maybe you're doing something similar. Let me know. I love you, and we'll see you in the next video.